In Myrtle Beach, you always go at your own pace. Lie out on the sand, lie out by the pool, go boogie boarding, go surfing, walk the boardwalk, walk the marsh walk, golf at one of 90 golf courses, mini golf at one of 50 mini golf courses, fish off a pier, fish from a chartered boat, go shopping, get drinks, eat the freshest seafood. The list is exhaustive, but the experience isn't. You can go all out or do nothing at all. How you relax is up to you. There is so much to do and explore, whether you're traveling with friends, family, or just yourself. With 60 miles of beach, you're going to find your place. If this sounds like what you need, then this is where you belong.
Twisted Tea and Myrtle Beach Wholesaler Better Brands Incorporated know our consumers enjoy relaxing days on the water with Twisted Tea's original hard iced tea in hand. It's important to remember drink and boat responsibly. Choose to be or designate a sober skipper before leaving the dock. Do it for your family and your friends, your passengers, and everyone else on board. Twisted Tea salutes all sober skippers who take the pledge. Cheers, and we'll see you on the water.
Realtree has always had a connection to the fishing industry and the outdoor lifestyle. In 2016, Realtree expanded on the traditional business of creating the world's most effective camouflage patterns to create a fishing brand and family of patterns designed to connect the woods to the water and strengthen the bond between the two worlds. We couldn't be more excited to be working with the industry's top brands, retailers, and anglers to continue our growth, and we hope that you will join us. Enjoy Realtree fishing patterns inshore, offshore, on the lake, or at the dock. Learn more about the extensive line Realtree fishing patterns, apparel, gear, and more at Realtree.com. Trilogy Outdoors.
All right, folks, welcome back to Trilogy Outdoors. Everything fins, fur, and feathers. And the Senator and I are in the Trilogy Outdoors studio currently. And we're going to be talking about a trip that he's going on as soon as tomorrow now. But you've been working all year. Actually, I think you probably work on this even into last year because this involves a lottery system, right? But you're getting ready to head out to Colorado.
Yeah, I'm going to Colorado for first season elk, which I'm stoked about. I think about it all year long and prepare for it all year long. Yeah, I mean, I drew a tag this year. Actually, I drew two tags, Inglis. I drew a first season elk tag and a second season deer tag.
All right, so this is going to be your elk trip you're going on.
I'm going on an elk trip tomorrow, and then I come home for a week, and then I leave and go back to Colorado for another week for mule deer.
So for somebody, all right, you said a deer.
Yep.
Are there whitetails in Colorado too?
Not where I'm going. There are whitetails on the eastern slope, in like prairie lands, I guess you would say.
Yep.
Flatlands, but I'm up in the mountains, and up in the mountains there are mule deer.
So would this be so it's a mule deer specific tag? I'm asking dumb questions. And how long does it take before you get drawn? Like how?
Every unit is different. There are units that some people consider to be top shelf sort of units with really big deer.
Yep.
You got units that have big populations, and you got units that have big genetics, and you got some units that have both. Okay, and people want one or the other, or sometimes both. Both is usually one of those rare unicorn type things where it takes you 20 years to get drawn, or sometimes 30 years to get drawn.
Wow.
There are a couple of elk units like that. 41 is 60. I mean, there are a couple of really, really top shelf elk units that will take you, 20 to 30 years to get drawn.
So you could sign Trip up right now, and by the time
you can't even get him points right now. I don't think you can get him points until they turn 12. You start getting him points at 12, and then by the time he's in his 40s, he'll be able to get drawn on one of those top shelf.
Wow.
But you can't burn your points between now and then either. So, right? So if you want to go hunt, a decent elk in a decent unit, and you burn a point, you can't. You guess you start over. So it's a pretty. You got to think about what you want to do.
Yeah, it sounds like a puzzle you got to put together and figure out. And I'll tell you what, I'm glad we're going to talk that today. But another thing, and we mentioned all our other brands, I do want to go ahead and tell a little bit about November. Trilogy Outdoors Magazine, Jeff Dennis, is every year he does draw hunts, duck, deer in South Carolina on the public land. He is actually writing an incredible article about how to do it, how to go about it. I think that's perfect for today's show. But he's going to talk about exactly what he went through on how he gets drawn and the best way to do it. I'm looking forward to that article, but you can check that out at Trilogy Outdoors Magazine. Go to TrilogyOutdoorMedia.com. Check out this month's magazine. But you'd have a guest that's going to join us real quick from Colorado, and we're going to talk a little bit with him. Now, is this a guy that you'll hunt with while you're out there?
I will, yeah. Jim is a great friend. He's been a friend for, I don't know, I started going out when I was 16 or so. So he's been a friend for a long time. And you know what? I'd like to get him on the line.
Let's get him on.
We will tell this story together. Let's see.
Because I also want to talk about something else we did this week.
Yeah, okay.
He's not going to answer now.
We shall see.
Steven?
Geezer.
What are you up to?
We're doing a podcast. How the heck are you?
How are you, brother?
I'm good. Who's the other person in the background?
That is Captain Inglis Glover, shortened for Captain E.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
Well, I'm getting ready to go to trial this afternoon, so
well, good luck.
I'm all right. Yeah, it won't be too bad. Second day.
Now, are you going to be babysitting Steven for the next couple of days after that when he comes out?
I think we're going to be babysitting Rick.
Rick is our buddy who he has a hard time figuring out how to kill an elk or anything for that matter.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and we might get him on the line in a little while just to pick on him a little bit. But Rick is one of these folks that he firmly believes in the bugle, the art of the bugle, even when he should not.
Rick is like, are you familiar with Little Abner?
Oh, yeah.
Cartoon? He is the guy that has the little black cloud following him around all the time.
Oh, no.
He seems to screw up whatever opportunity presents itself.
We're going to have to change that this week. I don't know. It may be an impossibility, but we're going to give it a shot.
This could be the year, I'm thinking.
I'm thinking so. He finally took some advice of ours and got the right tag, even though he tried to screw it up and get the wrong tag. And thankfully for him, he missed that tag, and he ended up picking a leftover tag, which is when I was going.
Right.
So despite his best efforts at screwing it up, he's probably going to score this year. The question, Geezer, is whether or not I allow him to score before I score, since I had the first tag.
I actually had that conversation with Rick, and I was like, what do you think the realistic odds are when an elk pops up that Steven is going to wait for you to do all the gyrations that he has to do to get properly in frame in his mind, and Steven will just put his gun up and shoot it. Yeah. So yeah. He's well aware of that's probably an opportunity, but he should have a good chance. The weather's cooled off quite a bit. It's getting down chilly in the mornings, and the highs are only in like the 70s. So much better than during muzzleloader bow season.
Yeah. So for our guests who are not familiar with you and our hunting grounds, obviously I don't want to give any specifics about where we are, but we're hunting on what's called the western slope of Colorado. Closest big city would be Grand Junction, and we're hunting anywhere from 5,000 all the way up. If you count like Mesa and all that would be up in the 10,000 foot area, but
correct.
We're anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 feet, and a decent bull in your neck of the woods would be what? What do you think?
Score-wise, or
yeah,
a decent bull is the one that steps out in front of you.
Exactly.
But they have lots of bulls score-wise where we hunt in the 330 to 360 range.
Yeah, and this is what we were talking about this just a minute ago before we got you on the line. There are some units that, I don't know, call them unicorn units, the units that everybody, puts in for, and people will wait 15, 20 years to get drawn. And those are great. Those are considered great units, but I mean, you might not kill a bull any better than 330 to 350 in those units.
There was a 402 bull taken where we hunt last year.
Well, there you go. I mean, that is a giant of an elk in a unit that is not considered a top tier unit. In fact, you can get drawn in our unit, I mean, pretty much every other year for rifle if you wanted to hunt rifle, and obviously there's still over-the-counter tags for that unit.
Correct.
So I mean, all you got to do is do a little bit of research and figure out where the elk are, and you can find some really nice bulls in units that are not considered top-tier units.
And there's plenty of elk running around. The elk population is exploding on the western slope, and the deer population's going down.
So is that chronic wasting disease?
It's that, and I think mountain lions and bears.
Mountain lions are pretty tough on the deer.
I don't know if you just saw that video that was on one of the outdoor things.
That thing was incredible.
Of a hunter in Idaho shooting at a mountain lion that was stalking him.
Yeah.
With a pistol.
Well,
it's the same sort of thing here. But they're so hard to. I've spent better part of my life outdoors, and I've seen 2 mountain lions in real life that aren't being chased by dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's nothing to worry about.
Yeah, no, I'm about the same way. Obviously, not as much time out west as you have, but a fair amount. And I've seen one, and it was the one that I killed out of a tree. Right.
Yeah,
right.
That's about the only time you're going to see them is if you're hunting them and you have some way to corral them out. Chase them down and put them up in a tree with the dogs treeing them. Otherwise, you never see them.
But they do seem to be exploding. Their populations seem to be exploding. They're just not.
They're protected, right?
No, you can hunt them.
Okay.
No, you can hunt them.
Yeah.
A mature lion will take a deer a week throughout the year.
Wow.
Well, there you go. And if you got 4 or 5 mature lions working a range or just a mountain, I mean, really, that's probably more realistic is just one mountaintop. Then you've got 4 or 5 deer a week that are getting taken out of that population. I mean, they got to do some work to keep up.
And their target for where we hunt, Stephen, is 8 to 12 lions. So
yeah.
I mean, just take the in between that. Say you got 10 lions at 52 deer a year times 10. That's 520 deer.
Wow.
520 deer in an area, I don't know, how many square miles?
A lot.
Yeah.
I would not know that.
Either way, they're taking out a fair number of deer every single year. And so that makes sense. I mean, between chronic wasting disease and mountain lions, the deer are suffering, which is something that we are going to be talking about also because I'm coming back out, as you know, in a couple weeks to hunt a deer, which has become more and more difficult to find a big buck. Jim Giese he's a good elk hunter, but let me tell you something. This guy knows deer better than just about anybody. He's killed some monster mule deer. In fact, where is your river bottom monster?
It's at your daddy's house now.
Roan Creek monster. So the big buck, what it scored, Giese, the last
199 and 5/8.
A 200
wow
inch mule deer. Which his wife won't let him keep at the house because it's such a monster.
All of my mounts now are at Stephen's father's house. My elk, my full-body flying turkey, and the river bottom monster are all hanging at his house because I no longer live in a log home, and it's no dead shit in my house anymore.
I feel like you've been emasculated. I'm sorry for you. I don't know what to do for you.
That is terrible. I'm sitting here dodging antlers in Stephen's man cave right now. Every time I move, I get jarred in the head by an elk or a gazelle.
I have been with Steven on every single one of those elk that's hanging up in there.
Yeah, that's true. He, Captain E, has been impaled a number of times by my river bottom monster, my RBM, and by the 5-minute bull. I'll let you know. We've named all of our bulls, by the way, that have been killed, Captain E. And Inglis has been impaled by the river bottom monster and the 5-minute bull multiple
Countless times.
Countless times. Countless times.
The five, what are we going to call the bear?
Oh my gosh, the pain in the ass. I don't know.
Yeah, that bear is one heck of a story.
That is not something. In fact, I wrote an article in our magazine last month, Trilogy Outdoors magazine, that the title of the magazine, I'll have to get it to you, Goosey, but the title of the magazine was "I'll Never Kill Another Bear."
And I will never go with anyone who kills another bear.
No.
At least a big bear. That was.
Well,
I mean, it's something that occurred in our life, but I don't ever want to relive it.
Well, you know what the mistake was? The mistake was listening to Matt. Matt's a great guy, but mistake was listening to Matt to bring it in whole. Okay, if you don't know the story, I can tell the story. Of course, you've got to get to trial, so I don't want to keep you too long. But the bottom line is, after killing this giant bear, which I don't know, 500 to 600 pounds, Geesey, what do you think?
It was a little over 500 pounds.
Yeah,
big bear for here.
After killing this giant bear, the taxidermist proceeds to tell me that he wants it whole instead of skinned because I would mess up the skinning operation.
Right.
The skinning job. So we proceed to try to get this bear out of there whole. And if you've never tried to pull a 500-pound dead weight animal, it is virtually impossible. It doesn't matter what you do. And then you end up driving an hour back into town to get a elk collar that has a 500-pound weight limit, and the wheels break on the elk collar. And it's just, it was a total disaster. The problem was listening to that advice. I think we could have figured out the skinning job, and I think it could have gone much smoother.
If we could have cut around the knuckles, if we knew how to do that, then we could have made it much more pleasant, less arduous.
And if you had not had a back injury, it would have. I'm not sure it would have made a difference. Honestly, I'm not sure.
So do you go fishing with Captain E?
Yeah, we've been. We've only fished a couple times, but I took him out there and let him jump off the boat once.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Let him jump off the boat and go cheating. I call it cheating.
Captain E is
spearfishing.
Yeah, Captain E's a pretty good inshore saltwater fisherman. He's a decent offshore saltwater fisherman. But I know what you're going to say. Not nearly as good as me. I know that's what you were going to say.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Not nearly. Not nearly.
So, does Steven pay you money to build him up on radio like this?
No, he does actually. I got to check in my pocket. He does actually. Yeah, it's pretty good. You know what? No, he doesn't. He doesn't. We've got a great relationship.
I'll add a few more.
We both love the outdoors. We love fishing, hunting. I love living vicariously through the opportunities that he gets, hunting that I'll never get, and then I love living through hearing his stories of being under the water. But I do feel like on top of the water, I can handle my own. But I am not going under the water. But he did get me in a helicopter this week and off the ground because I'm scared of heights. So we're accomplishing a lot together as partners.
I've taken Geesey fishing a number of times, and he is the world record sea urchin catcher.
No way.
Oh yeah.
I caught a sea urchin fishing with Steven inshore, and
that's pretty good.
Caught some redfish. I caught one of those gray and white things with the teeth that crack shit.
Convicts.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Sheep's head.
It's
So did you go red fishing with him where he cheats when he goes to that place that's got them all kind of trapped in there? Because I have unfortunately not gotten the opportunity to do that yet, but I do want to take him up on that trip. But that's where you don't even have to get in the boat.
That's a lot of fun.
That is fun.
No, he hadn't been there yet.
Oh, boy.
I have not done that. Gone shrimping with Stephen, which is quite fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
But-
now, we all know about that.
Mm-hmm. Geesey, so
Yeah.
tell me your secret to bugling, because I want to transition after I let you go and get back to studying for your trial. I'm going to call Rick, and I want to get the opposite view on bugling. So why don't you just give me a quick tutorial on bugling?
The secret to bugling is don't do it.
So
From
Rick,
my perspective, the only time you bugle is if nothing's going on and you're trying to locate some elk.
yeah,
And then once you hear one, you just quit bugling. Now, Rick's going to give you a different perspective. He tends to believe there is the come in and fight with me bugle and the, oh, I need to go over there and see what's going on bugle, and yada, yada, yada. And essentially what Rick does is just, I'm going to scare them all off bugle.
which has happened multiple times, by the way.
Oh my God, we had elk at one time. You weren't here, Stephen. It was Rick and Will, and I had a 6-point bull at about, I don't know, 12 feet from me, and it was working its way towards Will and Rick, and then we had 2 other bulls right behind us that were probably 40, 50 yards away, and Rick just kept bugling and bugling and bugling, and they knew something was up, and they just left, and nobody got a shot.
I always try to tell Rick, think about it like turkey hunting, right?
That's right.
Think about it.
Perfect example.
It's like a giant turkey on steroids. Think about it like turkey hunting. You got a gobbler coming. What do?
Stop.
You shut up. You just shut up. I mean, maybe do a purr, to keep him sort of interested, purr, a little cluck. But you don't go gobbling and just cackling. You don't do that when he's coming. You just stop. Rick sees a bull coming at 50 yards, and he's in his face. Screaming his ass off.
I gotta go get your hunting tub this afternoon out of storage.
Yeah.
And I've already decided I'm taking Rick's bugle out of that box. He will not get it except on certain occasions.
That's excellent. We're going to put a timer on it. You can only use this once every 2 hours.
Wow.
Not even then.
Yeah, not even then. Not even then.
That is great.
Well, thanks for joining us.
We're going to have you on the backside of all these trips, too. We'll talk about everything that happens out there, and look forward to hearing some great stories of Rick possibly getting one.
Yeah.
If Rick gets one, it will be the culmination of many years of frustration for him. So there's nobody I'm rooting for to get an elk more than Rick.
That's true. As much as I love to pick on him, I am rooting on him for him to get one. I really am.
Rick got the only turkey in Florida, didn't he?
He did.
Yep, Rick got our only turkey. We went down to Florida for a week and stayed down there, and Rick was the only person that got one. But I think it was because y'all chose to let him shoot first, right? Y'all were all together.
Well, we knew where the turkeys were going, and Rick was up, and so we put Rick right in their path of where they were going to go, and then Will and I went to different little hammocks to figure out if we could find different. So he ended up killing, and I was happy for him. I'm happy for him to kill one.
Yep.
I'm not really rooting for Steven to get another bull this year because he's already ahead of me by one over our lives. So I need to catch up.
Yeah, you do.
Now, is this your year off? Do you have a tag?
I already hunted muzzleloader this year.
And it was terrible, right?
Yeah, it was beyond terrible. It was 102, 198 the first 3 days during a full moon.
Yeah.
Saw nothing. Heard one bugle one morning, early on, and my truck blew up. So I had to hunt the last 6 days of the season in a Toyota Avalon, which is not very conducive to getting back around the areas we hunt.
Yeah.
Has ground clearance of a tunnel. So,
Oh my God, that would be great.
Excellent. Well, hey, thanks for joining us. I know
Even I gotta fly. I gotta finish prepping for my hearing.
Yep.
Captain, is it E?
Yep, that's it, Captain E. Yes, sir.
Captain E. It was nice chatting with you.
Nice chatting with you.
I'll see you
Stephen
soon.
can tell you about all the. We're gonna go fishing after Rick tells them both this week. So we'll have some fishing tales for you.
There you go. Good. Bring some of that trout back. Is that what you're going after, trout?
Yeah, but you got to let them all go.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine too.
Yeah.
We like that.
Hey, good luck in your trial. Thanks for
right.
joining us.
See you, Stephen.
Thanks for your time.
See you.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
That was the infamous.
So y'all do give Rick a hard time.
Infamous Jim Geese. Oh my gosh, we give Rick such a hard time. I almost feel like we ought to give him an opportunity to redeem himself by giving him a call. And you know what? I'm going to do that.
You can do that.
I don't have any idea if he can join us or not, but I'm going to give him a call and just see.
I'll tell you that I'm sitting here picturing, because right now the Outdoor Channel, props to the Outdoor Channel. I watch it all the time. Right now the Outdoor Channel's running a lot of elk hunts, and I guess obviously it falls right in line with the season. And, man, it is just exhilarating to watch and just see these guys and girls calling these elk in at such short distance to shoot with a bow. Now, have you shot one with a bow, or are you strictly – oh, yeah, you have?
I've shot multiple with a bow.
Okay.
I've shot
now, is this a rifle tag you have?
This is a rifle tag I have. So I've killed them every way you can kill them legally, with a bow, with a muzzle loader, and with a rifle. And, you know, honestly, in the beginning, I did nothing but bow hunted. I was exclusively bow hunting, and I loved it. And I killed quite a few with a bow. And then I thought to myself, I don't know what changed. I feel like the evolution of a hunter, I'm going in the reverse.
You're going backwards, yeah.
Going backwards. I feel like most people want to make it harder as they get older. To me, there's something about elk. I don't want to make it harder. And even with a rifle, let me clarify a little bit. Even with a rifle, I don't shoot elk from 300 or 400 yards. I get till I can get right up on top of them. If I can't close the distance within 100 yards, I don't want to shoot one. So to that effect, I still make it difficult. But I don't know. I don't like an elk running. And if you've never had to chase an elk down, or you've never lost an elk, it'd be difficult to understand. But I've lost a couple. And if you've ever lost a deer, you understand that heartbreak. Now, multiply that heartbreak times 1,000, because you've hiked your tail off, a gazillion miles up into the mountains, and you're staying up there, you're hunting up there. It's not like you can just pack up your stuff and move to a different mountain, and you've just probably killed the herd bull, maybe the only bull on that mountain, and you can't find him. And it starts to rain, and the blood runs out. And that's happened to me That's happened to me a couple times. And then I drew a rifle tag. And for those of you who don't know me, know that I like big bore rifles. Okay, I hunt with an African big game rifle for everything, because I don't like things to run off. I just don't. I mean, when I hit an animal with that 375, if I hit it in the toenail or in the heart, it tips it over. It just tips it over. And that's what I want. I don't ever want to chase another elk. I don't ever want to lose another elk, because I have such a reverence and a respect for it. It's such an incredible animal, especially.
Again, the hunter being the conservationist in all of this. And I just listened to Jim Shockey's podcast that we did. Yeah. I actually listened to it last week and just talking. I love listening to Jim. I love listening to everything that we talked about in that episode. But the fact of the matter is, the hunter and the outdoorsman are the ones who truly care about the resources.
Yeah, and I don't have anything against. I would probably go bow hunting again for elk. I don't have anything against it at all. To each his own. But for me, I've already killed a few with a bow, and so it's like I've checked that box. Now, if I like that elk enough to shoot it, kill it, memorialize it on my wall, if I like him enough to do that, I like him enough where I'm going to lay him down right where he stands. And that's just me. You know, I don't hold anybody else accountable for that ethic. That's just me. And also, like, the other thing is too, if you've never eaten elk,
It's good.
it is good. And
Yeah.
so every year you can bring home an elk is a good year. Okay, and so I've got.
Well, you can eat on one for a while.
You can eat on one almost all year long. Yeah. I
Do
like.
you
I
have
told
any
you,
left?
I have some hamburger left.
Do you?
Yeah, I have some hamburger left. I'll be happy to give it to you. I need to make room in my freezer. I hope I get one. I'm going to give Rick an opportunity.
Yeah, give Rick an opportunity to join us.
If he will join us. I've not given him a heads up about
See
this.
if you can get him on.
What are you doing?
I'm actually on the podcast right now, Rick.
Hey, Rick.
Captain E and I are here, and we just had a little conversation with Geezer. And
We're giving you an opportunity.
We're giving you an opportunity for rebuttal and redemption.
Okay.
Rebuttal and redemption. Rick is going to be joining me on my elk hunt. It's my elk hunt, as you heard me say it. My elk hunt.
Yep, your elk hunt.
Rick's going to be joining me on my elk hunt tomorrow in Colorado, western slope of Colorado. And we just heard from Jim Giese something about your bugling abilities. I don't know if it was well, let's just say this. It was bad. Okay? It was bad. It was a bad description. It was harmful and hurtful to me as a friend to hear him describe you like that. So I want you to have
We're giving you a chance, buddy.
have you,
Well,
you
I appreciate it. You know, I hope you laid out that, you know, Jim is, I think I heard on the past podcast you referred to your father and Mike as geriatrics. Is that a fair?
No, I think I called them old farts.
Old parts.
Yeah. So you did let everybody know and couch what Jim said with the fact that I believe Jim is much older than your father and Mike. So there has to be some sort of credibility loss off of that, because I'm sure Jim's hearing is horrible. But, you know, going to the bugling side, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Corey Jacobson or with Jason Phelps of Phelps Game Calls. These are top-tier buglers that win the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation Bugling Championship almost every year, and they call me for bugling. I want to make sure that we make sure we understand, so as your listeners can gauge who's the trustworthy body. Is it a lawyer from Colorado, or is it myself? And I think everybody knows that, you know, the side of reason is going to come to me.
Well,
I love it, Rick.
Everybody trusts lawyers, so you know how. I mean,
Exactly.
you got a hard road to hoe there. So we're going to be trotting out. We're going to be doing a little hiking. We're going to be doing a little elk hunting this week, and you and I both have elk tags. Of course, I drew a tag first. You drew a leftover tag. So the question really becomes, who gets the first elk?
Well, you know, Stephen, it's one of those things that I guess I'll let you make the call right here for your listeners live.
Yeah.
You know, how many elk have you shot in your life?
A few. Yeah, a few.
A few. Well, north or south of double digits?
It's getting close. It's getting close to double digits. Let's just say that.
Okay. I have not shot an elk. You know, I think we've been on enough trips together that right now, you know, I'd like for you to declare, would you be willing to allow me have the first shot?
I think the way we should do this is that
Rick, this is unbelievable.
whoever is presented with the best opportunity should the hunting ethics would tell you that whoever is presented with the best opportunity should take that opportunity. Now, so if that's you, I would agree you should have the first opportunity. But if that's me, I cannot, in good conscience, with good ethics, pass that shot up if it's a good ethical shot.
Fair enough. But with that being said, if I do have a better chance and shot than you, and you tell me we're going to shoot on 3, I want you to know I'm shooting on 1
Yes, don't wait till 2. Don't wait for
Exactly,
2.
Since what you told on the last podcast in which you plan on shooting on 2. So just so we all clear, if we say shoot on 3, I'm shooting on 1.
Okay.
I'm pulling for you, Rick, by the way.
I appreciate that, English.
Hey, also, wait till you open up Steven's GoPro bag and look in there, and you're going to look at him and go, what are you going to do with this?
This episode brought to you by GoPro.
You're going to be extremely happy. So, I got your number from Renee. I was going to give you a shout later today and just tell you exactly what all I sent, so you'll know, because I know who'll end up having to set it all up anyway. So I'll give you a shout.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you said that, because I'm actually staring right now. Steven did send me some of the pictures of the stuff that you got for him, and I'm staring right now. I pulled out some of my GoPro attachments. So I'm looking at a stake and an attachment to it, so that way my thought process is we'll be able to go out maybe 50 yards and put this out there. So if we call in an elk, we'll not only have a shooting, a presentation from a shooter that I'll be focusing on Steven, but we might even get a little bit closer shot. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think we'll try to get you some good footage. And I actually talked to Jim earlier today myself, and the trout, the rainbows are running behind the browns right now as they're dropping eggs. So may even get some good fishing so that we can continue with all things fin, fur, and feathers.
That's awesome, dude. I'll tell you what, that's awesome. I trust you.
We got 4 cameras.
You are putting your trust in the right person. Between Steven and myself, I'll tell you that much.
Well, how many does he have? He's got 2. You've got 2 in your bag. You've got the 8 and the 9 in there.
Okay, so we've got 4 cameras between us.
Yep.
Okay, and we've got somewhere close to like 50 or 60 hours of footage.
I sent him with a 400 gig disc in the newer camera, in the 9.
Mm-hmm. So we ought to be able to. We need to just like from start to finish film everything and then edit it down, I guess.
And I'll tell you one of the other things. As Steven will tell you, I am a gear nut. One of the things that I brought as well, or bought this year, was it's called a mag view. And what it does is it attaches to your binoculars, and it allows your phone so you can start digiscoping with your binoculars, or if you have a spotting scope.
Yeah.
So if Steven has to reach out and touch one with his 375 that he's going to be shooting, we'll be able to get some pretty good footage from that as well. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, that's awesome. I look forward to seeing it and hearing all about it. We'll have to have you back on the other side of this. Now, is he going to be going back with you on the other, or is he just on this trip?
He's going on the deer hunt with me too.
Okay, good.
Yep. So we'll have a after action report on the next podcast.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Hopefully, obviously with Steven having to get deployed, he was kind and gracious enough to invite me on his elk trip for this week, and I thought that obviously want to make sure that he has success, since he's obviously doing his duty and protecting us in uniform going overseas, that I want to make sure that he has something good to remember on the deer hunt. So we're going to make sure that we get him a good forked horned deer that is smaller than what he could shoot here in South Carolina. That's my goal, is to help him get the smallest mule deer possible known to mankind. So I can continue to send him pictures of that and remind him. That's my goal.
Yeah, having friends like y'all, I swear, you don't need enemies. Really.
I'm looking forward to it, Rick. And by the way, I didn't mean to rub it in earlier, but I did let everybody know that you were the only person that harvested a turkey while we were in Florida. So
I appreciate that. It was the skill that I had that obviously allowed me to harvest the only turkey out of the group between Steven and Will and myself. So,
all right, I'm about to hang up on him. I can't do it. I can't do it. I am about to hang up on him.
Besides Corey and Jason for elk, obviously Will and Steven come for me for turkey. So free advice to be given to all.
That is great. That is great.
Thanks for joining us, Rick.
Rick, you did a great job on your rebuttal, partner.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Sounds good. We'll see you out there in Colorado.
Bye.
All right, buddy. Y'all are so y'all meeting out there? Y'all not leaving? Y'all don't travel from here together?
No, he's going to travel from the mid-state. He lives in Columbia.
Yep.
And so I actually leave from Charleston. Myrtle Beach, I don't know what it is about Myrtle Beach, but the flights coming in and out of Myrtle Beach, going west, they're horrible. It's multiple.
As far as cancellations or?
Nah, it's multiple connections, and they're minimum $300-400 more expensive. Charleston's a 2-hour drive, but $300 to $400 cheaper and a direct flight.
Yep.
So, you just can't. I can't justify flying out of Myrtle Beach unless it's, significantly closer in price.
Can we talk about what we did this week or not?
Yeah, sure.
I'll tell you what. I do have a fear of heights. It's crazy because I never had it until probably, I'd say, my 40s. I don't know what, but has caused it. Maybe all the time on the water. But at any rate, I was invited to, I guess it's an appreciation deal y'all do? Is that what it would be?
Yeah. It's affectionately called GAS, the Goldfinch Annual Shootout.
Yep.
And we, over the years, we have, I'm trying to remember how we started it. It was quite a few years ago. But basically, all the police that would come statewide that would come to the beach for Memorial Day Bike Week, it required a lot of police presence.
Yep.
And quite a bit of crime, and it required a lot of police presence. And so there would be police and SWAT teams and highway patrolmen, and everybody would come from all over the state to come to the beach for that Memorial Day Bike Week. Now, it didn't happen this year, but so we moved the date to October, and we had that this year, and it's a thank you to all the guys that come. But now it's become, we grew it and grew it and grew it, and it ended up having 250 or so policemen last year. This year we didn't have but maybe 40 because they had requested that they be able to turn this into like an annual training event.
Right.
And with 250, you can't have enough people shooting and qualifying and doing their thing in order to for it to qualify. So we narrowed it down, made it much smaller. Now we just have the Highway Patrol, SWAT special teams, ACERT I think is what it's called, SWAT special
ACERT.
teams. Yeah, and so 40 or so police officers and us. We have a helicopter that comes out. Everybody gets to shoot from the helicopter. We have machine guns and suppressed weapons and belt-fed weapons, and they get to shoot anything and everything, including grenade launchers. And we play cornhole with a grenade launcher, and whoever gets the closest wins.
That was an amazing shot, by the way. You were busy. You didn't get to see it, but
I heard everybody clapping.
yeah, he only missed by like 6 to 8 inches.
That's excellent. And he won the
He
SIG.
won the SIG. I mean, the lighted sight.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so we give away great prizes for people who win cornhole and people who can actually hit the tannerite from the helicopter. And so it's a great day of just blowing stuff up and banging all day long, and everybody has a good time. We have good food. We eat lunch there, and so had a great
Food
time.
was great.
It
Food
was.
was great.
It was. And Captain E, who is a self-proclaimed, what is the phobia? Aerophobia?
Aerophobia? I don't know.
That doesn't
I don't
sound
know.
right. It's got to be what's agoraphobia? What's that? Let me look that. Where's the producer?
Self-proclaimed, but anyway, Stephen tapped me on the shoulder because I'm there to film. I mean, I was there to film and document, but tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Do you want to go up in the helicopter?" And I was like, "Dude, gun or no gun, you're not going to get me in that helicopter."
Acrophobia.
30 minutes later, he asked me again, and then he goes, I think this is what probably really pushed me to just go ahead and say, all right, I got to do it. But he said, wouldn't it be so cool to tell Russ about flying in a helicopter and shooting a gun? And I was like, you know what?
That'd get you.
I said, absolutely, you got me. So anyway, he got me up there, and we took off and got up, and the first time I go to go hot or load up and shuck one in, it jams. So we had to come back down. I hand the gun to Steve, and he fixes it. We head back up. And I got in 4 or 5 shots, and I thought through the scope it looked like I was getting close. I mean,
no, you hit it. You hit the target multiple times.
Best I could tell.
Yeah.
But then it jammed again on like shot number on 6 or 7. And I said, all right, that's it. So the pilot, which by the way seems to be a professional, the pilot decided to fly around the tree there and go over the field and turn around real quick to come back to land. And I got video of that. That was pretty good. I did get that on my GoPro.
Good.
Yep. So, but no, it was great. And I tell you, I left there feeling like, I mean, just exhilarated. I mean, it was an adrenaline rush for me like no other. Now, the one part that got me was when you said, okay, you're going to have to put your right foot out of the helicopter. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You got to put your right foot out of the helicopter because you got to get angled, to turn to shoot. But, no, it was great. And I tell you, everybody there seemed so appreciative. And those guys are, I mean, I'm just going to say it real quick. I mean, you are too, but those guys pretty much are a bunch of badasses. I mean, if you looked around. Yeah.
They're good. They're good guys. They, and they're in the, I mean, they're literally in the line of fire like every day. I mean, I swear police have been such, I don't know. They have been demonized and beaten up on for the last couple of years, and I just hate that because those guys put their life on the line every single day.
Every single day.
It's a shame. And anyway, we try to celebrate them for just a day and give them an opportunity to let their hair down and do some stuff they don't normally get to do. Not a lot of people get the opportunity to shoot automatic weapons out of a helicopter.
No.
Not a lot of people get the opportunity to do that. Even those guys don't get the opportunity to do that. But they may at some point in time need to do that.
Right.
So obviously it's a training opportunity for them. But they don't get to do that very often, and neither do you.
No, heck no.
And you got an opportunity to do that. I don't know if you know anybody else other than maybe some military folks, some veterans.
Nope. Grant Cooper. Do you know Grant? Grant grew up in Paul. He's about the same age as you. Grant messaged me. I put a picture up. No video, just a picture up. Grant actually messaged me and said he was heading to Texas in the next month or so to go helicopter hog hunting, which we talked about.
Yep.
You got to have a lot of hogs, though, to enjoy it.
Yeah, you do. We've tried it, and we used to have a place that had quite a few. And when you have 30, 40, 50 pigs, and you can sort of herd them with the helicopter and push them with the helicopter, it works. If you've got 1, 2, 3, 5, even 10 sort of scattered about, and they all scatter, it's very hard. Yeah, and you're wasting a bunch of money and fuel just to try to kill a few. So you got to have a big population of them to make it work. But that can be a lot of fun, and that's catching on in Texas for sure.
So you're going to be gone. And did you see what the low was here Wednesday night coming up?
Yeah.
34. You're going to be gone, and the rut is going to be firing off here.
Rut's fire. So last night and this morning, I got bucks.
So how's your cameras? Yeah, that's what. Tell me about some pictures.
I got bucks chasing does like within the last hour, and it's daylight. I mean, this is just in the last 2 days. All of a sudden, I've started seeing. You'll see a doe come to the corn pile, and then you'll see her run off, and then 1 minute later, you see a buck in the corn pile with his nose in the air. I got 6 or 8 pictures like that in the last 2 or 3 hours.
Yep.
And so the rut is on. 1 or 2 of those bucks had real black tarsal glands. The others are getting there. They're wet. So we've got bucks chasing does hard. The rut is on here in coastal South Carolina for sure.
Well, I tell you, I can't wait. I got that Humorex air gun, went and got it reloaded with air.
You got an Humorex?
Yeah.
I didn't know you had an Humorex. The one I sent you?
I told you I got it. No, I got the bolt gun.
Oh, you got the bolt gun. Yeah.
I shoot bolts.
You didn't get the 50 cal.
No.
Yeah.
No, but I got the bolt gun. So I went and set it up at 60 yards. Hadn't shot it since I bought it. And first arrow was about 3 inches high. Made a little adjustment. Next one was in the bullseye. The bad thing was I shot it with a bow target instead of a crossbow target. So I am -2 bolts until I can get you out there with your arms and let you try to pull it out. But Lucas and I tried and could not get it out. But this thing, 489 foot per second, incredible. And but what I took it to Jonathan at the dive shop. He fills it up with air. It's got to be completely clean air. That is that's the one big kicker. You can get a hand pump or something that you can buy through them, but deadly inaccurate. So I have moved a corn pile that was originally about 150 yards. I've moved it to 70 yards. I've got it set up 70 yards from a spot that Russ and I sat last night. We had 9 deer last night out, 2 big does. But my thoughts are this. This is a new stand on the property where we're hunting. And with all those does coming every night now and every morning, I'm awake because I think somebody's going to come chasing.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, for the next 2 weeks, there's a dang good chance you're going to see a big buck make a mistake.
What are your thoughts on killing does during rut?
You know, I in the last 5 years, my opinion on killing does, period, has changed. And I don't kill them.
Okay.
I just don't. I mean, I know there was this big theory quite a few years ago. You got to kill X amount of does on every piece of property.
Exactly.
Keep that doe to buck ratio down, and I think it's totally been disproven.
In Lucas's defense, I will say that since I've started hunting there 9 years ago, he has pretty much not been against it. He's not said don't, but he has never said, all right, boys, hey, it's time to take out some of these does. Like most landowners are like, hey, you know, if you're going to hunt my property, like, hey, I'm letting you do it. Yeah. I want you to kill some of the does that eat my crop.
Yeah.
But Lucas has been that way. He's pretty much not really talked about it or pushed it. He did tell me that with the crossbow, with the Humorex, that if I'd like to take one. He said we're going to take a couple out this year. We're also going to run dogs through the property. Wow. A little bit later in the season.
What's he doing that for?
Just for the heck of it.
He's
got some good dogs. If you've never been dog hunting, and I don't know if you have, and I'm not a proponent for it.
Years ago.
I did it years ago, and it was a blast. I'm not going to lie. It was fun. I don't think it's great. I don't. If I would never run them on my property, nor would I want my neighbors running them.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I don't know. It's like loaning out your wife. I mean, it just, you know, you're not going to get her back. You're not going to get her back the same way. If somebody wants to run dogs on their land, I just don't want them running on my land.
Right.
And the other thing about dog hunting, this is not beating up on dog hunting by any means, but one of the problems with dog hunting is that you get outlaws that will let their dogs out on 2 or 3 acres they own and run across my 1,000 acres.
That's right.
And because they let them out on their land, they got lost and they ran across your land and they ran all the deer out of your land.
Yep.
Yeah, and that kind of stuff just shouldn't happen. Georgia has a law that says you cannot dog hunt unless you have a minimum of 500 acres to let dogs out on. And I think that's a great way to do it. If you got a big enough tract of land to run dogs, then it makes sense. But, you should not be letting dogs out on a couple acres to run across my 1,000.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. That is true. And I'll tell you, the place where Lucas's plantation is, where we hunt, at one point in time, it was World War III out there over dog hunting.
Yeah.
You know all the stories.
I've been involved in them. I know. Yeah.
That property out there, because you had so many big groups that dog hunted, and then you had these guys who came in and bought to do steel hunting, and they had dogs running through. I mean, it got ugly. I mean,
it's like that on every big tract of land. I mean, Gunner's Island was like that for years. Dog hunting is, it's dying. And, I mean, quite honestly, I'm okay with it dying. I understand it's been a traditional way of hunting for a long time, especially in the South. And so I get that. I respect that. I even did it when I was younger, and as a kid, I participated in it at least. But I don't want them running across my land.
No. Well, I guess it's really a Southern thing, isn't it?
It is.
No, it is. It's a Southern, and it's a tradition for a lot of people. And, again, like Stephen said, we're not – bad-mouthing it or putting it down in any way, shape, or form.
You can definitely do it in an ethical way, in a legal way.
Oh, yeah.
But there are a few that do not, and they, a couple bad apples spoil the whole bunch.
Don't think I wouldn't want to be at that Savannah Riverside dog run. Huh? That thing's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
That thing's crazy. I've seen pictures from it.
We did one. My dad and I did one. We got invited. I think DNR was actually a host of it. This was 25 or 30, probably closer to 30 years ago. I was just I was a young kid, and they were trying to basically cull or wipe out the deer on Daniel Island before it got developed.
Oh, wow.
Daniel Island is, for those of you who don't know, it's a big development in Charleston.
Yep.
These deer had interbred, and they were all like 50 pounds or less.
Ooh.
I mean, little teeny, it looked like dogs, and they wanted these deer wiped out. DNR wanted these deer wiped out, and I remember, I think we ended up, the whole group of us ended up killing like close to 100 deer that day, and DNR had a Jeep, and they were, they'd cut around the legs, and then they put hooks on the skin, and then a Jeep that had chains hooked to it would rip the skin off, and then they'd do the next one, and they'd rip the skin off, and they'd roll it down the line and roll them down the line.
Wow. And
they cleaned like 100 deer in a morning. It was just incredible to watch, but they wanted to cull those deer out, and that's a lot like what they're doing down at Savannah Riverside.
Yeah, it's got to happen in some areas. I mean, they are terrible, and
but isn't it? I mean, let me back up a second. So I see these big culls. I like I said, I've even participated in one. I see these big culls, and I wonder why like that. I mean, why don't we just practice the traditional way of hunting? Why don't we offer tags? Why don't we let people do their thing? Even sell hunts. I mean, but why do we need these wholesale cull operations? I mean, they're doing it to bison in the Grand Canyon right now.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they just want to wipe them out, basically.
Again?
Yeah. I mean, they want to wipe them out when they grow too much. The population gets too big, and they just want to wipe them out. And you got a couple of choices. Your first choice is government-hired contractors that snipe them from helicopters, usually in the middle of the night. They do the same thing with deer around here in big neighborhoods.
Yep.
Briarcliff Acres, they'll hire contractors to go in at night and kill these deer. Why aren't we just doing this the traditional way? Why don't you just offer tags to hunters to go and do this the traditional way, raise money for conservation, let it happen ethically? I don't understand these big widespread culls. It doesn't make sense.
That's a good call. That's a good call. I don't know. I know somebody's got a position to make a difference in that, and that's you.
Yeah, well, sometimes you don't hear about the mistakes until after they've happened.
Yep.
At least in my position in politics. Sometimes you don't hear about it until after they've actually happened, and you say, why? Let's do it differently next year.
Yep.
Right? Whatever it is, it doesn't have to do anything with hunting, but whatever it is, let's do it differently next year. But sometimes the damage has already been done.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, what a great show. Good time talking with those guys, and I can't wait to hear on the other side of all of this, all the stories and everything else, and we'll share those. And tomorrow I'm loading up with the kids, and like I said, going to Sherall to the fish hatchery there, which after even I was born in Sherall, spent years in Sherall, didn't even realize that there was a hatchery there. They called me today. I talked to Mr. Rick from the hatchery, and the kids and I are meeting him tomorrow at 12 o'clock. We're going to walk through, get some video, and go check out all the largemouth, smallmouth, stripers, brim. Another fish that he called out that's an invasive species that they raise.
They're raising an invasive species?
Yeah, it's a minnow. It's a type of minnow that's good. It's supposedly good. I'm going to find more information tomorrow about it. Trying to hoghead minnow or something, flathead minnow or some type of minnow that's it can be a nuisance. Is what I was told. But we talked on the phone, our brief conversation we had today. We were already talking about the stripers that we find here in the Santee River in Georgetown and whatever, the unicorns that nobody wants to talk about, the stripers that are here locally, and that they are probably a
naturally occurring thing.
Naturally, yeah. They are not probably fish that have come down out of the lakes that have been stocked.
They're a local population.
Right. And we're also going to talk about the Broad River. He's going to talk about the Broad River and explain to me exactly what happened with the smallmouth that they put into there and why the trout are in there, why the smallmouth are in there, and why they chose that area and why it works so great. But I can't wait to hear more about that.
So, real quick, the last big alligator that actually Rick was with me. The last big alligator that we took out of the Santee River, I think we were on the North Santee. Yeah, we were on the North Santee. The last big alligator we took out of North Santee had about a 15-pound striper
in it.
in his belly.
Oh, wow.
I mean, a big striper in his belly.
And that this time of the year, because that's when.
Yes, either September or October. I can look it up.
Yeah, but that's crazy because
September or October. Yeah.
when we hear about stripers, most of us think about catching them in February, March.
Yeah.
Into April, so
it was September or October. So if that tells you anything, there was that alligator didn't come from Lake Marion.
No, he was from right there.
He's from right there, and he had a striper in his belly in September.
Well, I'm going to get some great video. Be over on TrilogyOutdoorsMedia.com or Trilogy Outdoors Facebook page and of my trip tomorrow, and I look forward to all the video from Rick and from Steven out west with the elk hunt. Now, this trip, and then with the mule hunt that'll happen in 2 weeks. But you can find it all on all of our brands. And, we've got Southern English Radio Show Saturday mornings on the Gator 107.9 from 8 to 10. Find it on iHeart app. Also, don't forget, you can also pick up our magazine, Trilogy Outdoors Magazine, available on stands. Right now, our October issue is out, and it's great. Or you can visit the TrilogyOutdoorsMedia.com and just read it right there. And, of course, Trilogy Outdoors Podcast. Make sure you click like, subscribe, catch up with us every week. And we'll be back next week. We'll talk some more fins, fur, and feathers. That's us. Let's get on out of here. Have a safe trip, Senator.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. We'll see y'all next week.
Trilogy Outdoors Podcast is a product of Trilogy Outdoors Media. All views and opinions of our hosts and guests are not necessarily those of our sponsors. Trilogy Outdoors is produced and edited by Trilogy Outdoors Media. Be sure to follow us on all the podcast platforms as well as our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And also don't forget our other brands, Southern English Radio Show and Walk 'Em All Outdoor Magazine. To find more information, visit TrilogyOutdoorsMedia.com. And remember, if it's anything dealing with fins, fur, and feathers, you're going to find it right here on Trilogy Outdoors.